Hey, Carlos. Well, I was hoping Catherine was going to join us, but no, she's not. Okay, so we're working on move three, and we'll finish up move three today and move on to move number four, which is called six sealing and four closing. But let's do the first three moves a couple of times just to get the blood flowing a little bit. Okay, so where we ended up last Saturday was toward the end of the third move, but there's a few things I want to throw in there, and then we'll move on to the fourth move. So we talked about how this is a chin up, right? Wrist here, elbow here, sink in the left claw. So, in fact, let me put some tape on my claw here. Remember, it's like the big spring, right? You're going down the axis of the spring. All right, the next move is going to be an elbow strike, all right? Shina, elbow strike. Question is how you get there. And one of the things you need to pay a little attention to is what happens with the left hand. So watch the quiet left hand here. Master Zhang used to say, from nipple to navel, right? You're dropping the hand from the chest down to the Dan Chin. And you driving into somebody's ribs, maybe. Okay, now the next move is another chin up, but instead of being a reverse chin up, as this one is on this side, right? It's going to be a forward chin up. So a reverse chin up is done by using the reverse of the wrist as a fulcrum. Reverse chin up, forward chin up, right? And this is a longer chin up here. Right, so on this side, this is short chin up. But on this side, it's a longer chin up. Right? So I've got the wrist here, here's the elbow, and you're going to be up above the elbow. Probably not as high as the shoulder. If you're going to do a shoulder chin up, right, you roll this and then you force this down. And you can do that, but that's not what you're doing in this move. Right? Instead, you're rolling this, and then you're going to be right above the elbow, and this one rolls this way, this one rolls this way. So, reverse chin up, forward shin up, elbow, forward shin up. So this hand is right underneath the dantian because you've got this guy's arm, and as usual, you're not using your arms to do this. You're using this part of the body. Right? So you're flipping the dantian under, which means you're sinking in the blue quad this time. And this one is just the opposite. Mm-hmm. Just like wringing out a rag. So sinking in the quad is absolutely essential to do these moves. They're not done with the arms. They're done with the abdomen. And the base of the abdomen, the foundation of it is the quad. So this is like a basket here with the fruit, the dantian inside the basket. So you want to sink in whatever quad is bearing your weight. Right? So the red quad, the blue quad. Very simple. It's always that way, without exception. If you find an exception, that means you're doing something wrong. It's always that way. It's it's not that you can't do it when you're off weight. So rather than doing it, Chanel, like this, I could conceivably do it like this. The problem is you can't apply your weight very well. And your weight is your number one ally. So just for practice, you always want to make sure that whatever leg is bearing the weight, that's the leg that you do the joint lock on. Okay, let's do move number 3 a couple of times, and then I want to see you guys do it, right? Or Carlos do it. Reverse. Okay, we've got to do this end part here too. This end part is really tricky. If you can grab it, it's very easy. It's tricky just for you guys to see what's going on. It's tricky for me to try and tell you. Remember when we were talking about sinking in the leg, and I used this spring to indicate what's going on. So the spring has an axis to it, right? It has a straight up and down axis. And to use the spring well, you don't want to be bending that axis. You want to use the axis. The spring loads like this along the length of the axis, not by bending the spring. I mean, that will do something, but that's not what you want to do. So you can imagine the distance from the bottom of your foot to your dantian passing through the quad as a big spring. It's a giant spring. So what you're doing is condensing the spring and then releasing it, condensing it and releasing it, condensing it and releasing it. And on this side, right? Condensing it and releasing, condensing it and releasing it. All right, you can do the same thing with your arms. It's maybe a little harder to see just because of the angle that we're talking about. But you can imagine, to simplify this, maybe going from the tangent to the tip of the fingers, right? That's one unit. And that's the axis. So if you want to condense this, you condense it along that axis. It's not going sideways, right? It's going down the length of the arm. The shoulder joints the shoulder joint is actually this area here. I mean, think about how your shoulder is attached to your body. Where's the bone attached? It's attached in here. All this is free floating. The actual attachment, the actual joint is in here where the collarbone attaches, right? So these two joints, the white one and the blue one, are analogs for each other. Your shoulder joint and your hip joint are, in a certain sense, the same joint. So just like if I want to use my hip joint, I think of this big spring and I just coil straight down. It's the same thing here. All right? It's one spring, I just coil the spring. Instead of sinking the blue, right? When I coil the spring, I'm sinking in the blue. When I coil this spring, I'm sinking in the white. All right? Now watch. Watch. It's not this. No. This is not going out and coming back. It just comes over, and now the whole thing just straight. This one condenses, and this one condenses. So what are you doing? All right. Like I said, you've got somebody's arm, and you use your gut, and again you use your gut. The white and the blue condense. Um, if if we could be together and I could practice this on you and then you could practice it on me, what you would find is there are 99 ways to do this inefficiently. And it kind of works, but not very well. But when you hit the sweet spot, that one out of 100 spot, it's devastating. You absolutely catch this other guy. And after you practice it a few dozen times, you get a feel, for that. It's not that somebody can't get out of it. Of course, you can get out of anything if you know how to get out of it. That's why when you actually apply it, is very fast because you don't have time. You're not going to have time. You don't want to give the guy time to get out of this, right? So when you apply it, it's not like this. That's practice. When you really apply it, it's like that. And either you get it or you don't get it. If you don't get it, you're probably going to get punched in the nose. So you want to you want to practice this enough that you can get it. If you can get it, um, you'll have a true joint lock. You'll have the guy really locked up, and you won't be able to move. Right? And you can still hit you with the other fist, though. Yeah, Kevin.
Could you do it facing the other way so you can show Carlos that you're at a 45-degree angle, not a 90 or 180 degree?
Yeah, that's an important point, and this is always true for all these moves. It's not straight ahead. It's not at 90 degrees. It's at 45 degrees, roughly. The truth is 45 degrees, that's the quadrant, you work in. You don't want to go out here because look what happens to your body when you go out here. You're rolling yourself over backwards. So of course, sometimes you don't have any choice. Nevertheless, what you're really trying to do is work at about 45 degrees, right, on both sides, and that's true through the whole form, through every form. Something else I was going to say. We'll come back to it. Okay, let's go on to the next move, since we're running out of time. The next move is called 6 sealing and 4 closing, and it looks like this. Okay. The first part of this is capturing someone's arm, pulling them in, and then moving back to punch them, or maybe punch a second person. Grab his arm, pull him in. So you can pull someone down that way. Right? It's the same grip that you just had for this, only instead of just locking him up and maybe pushing him down this way, right? You're literally pulling him in, and you get him behind the shoulder. Boom! You've got him on the ground then. So that's the first function in there. Grab the guy, pull him down. The second function, maybe his evil twin brother is coming down. The second function is to wind up and hit. Grab the guy, pull him down. Wind up, boom, hit. Right. When you wind up, you're spiraling down the heavy leg, the weighted leg, in exactly the same way that we've talked about. Right? You're spiraling down toward the foot. You're not going back like this. You're spiraling down. spiral down, spiral back up, spiral down, spiral back up, spiral down, spiral up, spiral down, spiral up, spiral down, spiral up. Now you're using both sides of the body to hit. All right. Watch the hands. There's lots of different ways to do this move. And so this move, there's 3 or 4 places in the form where you basically do this same move, but each time you use a different hand structure. So this one is like this. Pushing, and you're backing up, not with the hands like this. Sometimes you do that, but with the back of the hand. Boom. The advantage to that is you're using both sides of the body. All the way from the bottom of your feet. Spiral down. Grab the guy. Throw him. Spiral down again. Hit. Round the dantian. Sink in the red. Sink in the blue. When you hit someone, you've got this explosive energy coming out. But there has to be an equal and opposite reaction in your body, or it won't have enough strength. So I'm going to do this. That means there needs to be an energy coming back and going down. Where? Where is it? It's always in the leg that is carrying the weight. What's the point of trying to move the energy down the leg that's not carrying any weight? It's hardly touching the ground. In fact, you can do this move with all 3 limbs moving. So it's gonna be in the blue quad. This is going out, this is going down. It's not this. You lose your balance when you do that. So you always want to keep your balance. Right? So that's a lot just for the first circle. That's just one circle. It looks so simple. But if you really want to practice this as Tai Chi, you have to practice all those details. Not in order to perfect martial applications, but in order to get the Qigong, the underlying gong. In China, if you've got something in China, so when you do a little sparring, you're liable to win, right? They will say, that guy's got gong. In the United States, we would say gong fu, kung fu. Kung in kung fu is the same as gong. Qigong is to develop your gong, develop your stuff, all right? That's what you're practicing. These are not, most of them are not terribly realistic martial applications. They're kind of idealized, and they're made to fit within the form. The point of the form is the form. It's not to learn particular martial applications. It's to learn how to move your chi, how to use your mind to move your chi. This whole first move. I swear to God, you could spend an hour working on just what we just did. It's it's so simple, but it's actually very difficult for a lot of people to get. It's like you gotta get it, and then you gotta get it, right? It's spiraling down or screwing down into the imagine you're driving a screw into a piece of wood. You don't want the screw to bend. If it bends, it's just going to break. Huh? It's got to go straight in. And it's exactly the same with this. You don't want it to bend some way, it's going to break. Instead, it wants to go straight in. Okay? I put that on the outside of my knee. Right? It's not straight on my kneecap. It's a little bit to the outside. Watch. Right? Oh, it's going out. Um, Watch it go in. I'm going to hurt myself. Right? And if somebody kicks me there, I've got a broken knee. That's no good. It's got to be like this. Now it's an arch. Now it has some strength. These are the yang meridians. The yang meridian's going right through that white patch. All right? So when you're sinking straight down, the leg physically is actually bowing out a little bit. It's making an arch, but the energy is going straight. There's a difference between your physical body and your energy body. They're roughly the same, but not quite the same. Imagine right? So from my hip joint, right, straight down the outside of my leg. It's not this, not leaning over. I can't even do it wrong anymore, right? It's not. What most people do is called lateral motion, sideways motion. So you pay attention to this. If you're just moving this sideways, you're not sinking in the quad. And if you don't sink in the quad, you're not going to ground yourself. So it's not about lateral motion like this. It's about sinking like this. A really good way to practice this, you can get a friend to do this with you, is have someone push you on this shoulder. Just sort of push you sideways to the left. Not hard, just enough that you can feel it, right? Then the question is, can you dissipate that push? What do you mean dissipate it? Well, can you pull the energy out of it so that it's not a problem? Better pull the energy out of it and then give it back, right? If they push you on the left shoulder and you just go sideways, it's not going to work because they'll just keep pushing you and eventually you'll fall over. Instead, when they push you, you screw down that leg. You sink in the quad, screw down that leg, and you're ready to come back. In other words, if you can make yourself a giant spring and they push on the top of the spring, instead of the spring going sideways, you let the spring close and then it just pops back open. Kevin, does this make sense?
Yep.
This is one of the main things you have to learn in Tai Chi as a wrestling art. All right? Don't let your opponent ruin your structure, your conformation. All right? If they push on you and you go sideways like this, well, you're already losing it. Instead, they push on you and you're just a giant spring from where they're touching you to the bottom of your other foot. If it's on this side, then it's the bottom of that foot. Right? Instead, it's just a big spring. Right? Right? That's what this first part of the move is all about. Condense. Come back up. Condense. Condense even more. Come back up. Okay, that's that's the first time a little bit in this move. But if you can get that, it carries through into every move in the form. Every time you're doing a move, you'll think about that because the the principles remain the same all the way through the form. So you get to a move like this. Same thing. Right? The control of this in the legs is exactly the same as what we're just going over. Okay, questions? Okay, tomorrow we'll take another small bite.
Yeah, I think the biggest is that'll take a lot. Like trying to comprehend that motion through a video screen is really hard.
It is hard. You're right. Carlos, it's actually hard when you're there live with somebody.
Oh, I see it's going to be even worse because I'll have just that much more to see and try to comprehend.
It is difficult. It is easier, I think, when you're there live, because you know I would have you push on me, so that you can feel what it feels like when somebody just screws down into their body and then comes back up. and then I would gently push on you, and we'd work back and forth, until you get it. And when you get it, it's easy. It's the easiest thing in the world to do, and it actually feels really good. And I'll tell you why it feels good, because it's so efficient. There's no wasted motion. This, this is all wasted motion. It's useless. Instead, someone pushes on you, you just screw down in. There's no wasted motion. When someone squishes a spring, now you've put energy into the spring. You let go, the spring's gonna bounce back and pop you. That's exactly what I mean. There's no wasted motion or wasted energy. Somebody pushes you, you screw down in, boom, and you bounce back. Okay, guys, have yourselves a great day. We'll pick it up there tomorrow. Ciao.